Hello, everybody. Welcome to the Wednesday night or morning live stream. Sorry that it's so late. Had to do some things tonight. Had to go to the local dog shelter, walk some dogs. There's a link in the description. You can follow along those adventures. But tonight, what we're focusing on is not dog walking and all the great dogs that are over there at the animal shelter in Puerto Rico, but the price of Bitcoin and its slow bleed. And I got to tell you, this is kind of going the way we thought it was going to go. And it's not too much of a surprise. I thought there would be more of a relief rally, but this is what we're at. Actually, let me refresh this, 72,806. Okay, even lower. So today, we actually dropped below 72K, went to 71.9. And I believe things will just keep bleeding out. We'll see how it goes. But, I mean, these are the cycles. And, we could be wrong, and things could bounce back and we could have a great banana zone stuff, but it's anybody's guess. It's just kind of repeating. And the things that are also repeating is that Jim Cramer is making calls, which historically speaking, this is actually a bad idea to ever watch Jim Cramer, but he did say something interesting today. And I actually like Jim. I find him quite entertaining. But it says, memo to Michael Saylor. We think that 73,000 is the line in the sand for Bitcoin. Time to do another zero coupon convert and stop this decline. Strategy earning depends upon it. And what will you talk about when your report comes out on Thursday? Let's get this done. First of all, I didn't know the actual earnings report was this Thursday. That sounds quite interesting. Hopefully it'll happen tomorrow when we do the NFA Live, it'll be Guy and Ben joining me again on my channel. So it'll be 10 a.m. Atlantic time, 9 a.m. Eastern, and 6 a.m. I think Pacific. But for this story, Jim, I think this is something to pay attention to, because the CEO of Strategy actually came out a couple of weeks ago and said that, you know what, there is a possibility that we could actually sell Bitcoin. That had never been said before. And now we know that MicroStrategy holds 713,502 Bitcoin, bought at an average of 76,000. That's their cost basis, 76,052 per coin. And right now, the price is below 71,000. Actually, it's, I think it's 72,000. What did we say? 685. But that's a big loss as far as unrealized losses. Let's be clear about that. But it is a $2.75 billion paper loss. So what will happen? Well, as far as MicroStrategy goes, there's a couple of things that they could do, but I don't know if either way or any one of the decisions could lead out to like a positive outcome. Bitcoin would help if it actually would go up. But if it doesn't and MicroStrategy starts selling, watch out, because that is where confidence gets shaken. And that's what the market is. It is all about the confidence in the market, speculation, and momentum. And if we lose that, I think we lose a good foothold and we will tumble down back into the 70, 80% down from all-time highs. Anyhow, just telling you what it is, unfortunately. And we can actually take a look at some indicators. This is Gary Cardone, and he says, guys, I have now seen 4 different calculations with different 200 EMAs. I think he's thinking SMA. Can someone confirm what the actual 200-week EMA is on Bitcoin? Well, we talked about this yesterday, matter of fact. No, I think it was on Sunday. I apologize. And we were talking about the exponential moving average and the simple moving average. The only thing that the EMA is showing is more recent price action. It's like N equals 2 divided by the price of the current price. So it gives it more weight to the actual current price that we have, as opposed to the simple moving average, which kind of just goes along a whole continuum from the very beginning, or in this case, 200 weeks back. And when we took a look at this, it was quite interesting. Of course, we can zoom in here, and what Cardone was talking about was this right here. And that 200-week EMA is 68,000, which we could hit that tomorrow, quite honestly. But we're talking about the simple moving average. See how it shifts a little bit? Well, of course, it's not weighted to the most recent price action. It goes back 200 weeks. You're looking at what, 43.9 years or whatever it is. You're looking at SMA of 58,000. And what's interesting to me when we took a look at this, I said, well, wow, that's quite a ways away. Not really. And I know people are looking at this 200-week as like the time to ape in. But we did this, and if you take a look at the 250 week and the 30 week, it seems pretty ridiculous, right? But we did hit those in COVID time, and we hit those last cycle. We went below the 200 week, we went below 22,000, then 19,000, then 18,000. I think we hit it down at 17,000 at one point. Well, this one says 18,600, but you get the drift. So yeah, I think once we drop below 200 week, if you would like to pick that up, not a bad idea, but that's just something to watch out for. And again, like when I talk about how we're kind of on track, we kind of are on track. I mean, when we go from like all-time highs down, Ben changed this because this used to be reverse. But I get what he's trying to do, and makes actually kind of helps me because that's how I look at things. But we went from 2013 all-time high, drop down. How much was this? 80. This is in 2015, 83%. And then 2017, when I got in, it dropped. What is that? Wow, 83% as well. Look at that. I always had it at 85 and 82, but whatever. 83 and 83. Wow. And then the last one, we went down 75%. And as of today, we are, wow, almost at 42%. But again, to get down to this like 75, 80% range, you're looking for like a full year. As a reminder, for us to go on 42%, well, look at that. It only took us the 26th of January. But remember, the all-time high was in November. So that is 1 month forward. So, a little bit. And then, of course, we had in October. So actually, maybe we're just a little bit behind. But it's, to me, when we're talking about drawdowns, pretty much right where we were last time. Anyhow, let me know what you think about that in the comment section. I know this isn't a very positive video, but it is the reality of the situation that we find ourselves in. So let's talk about some good news, shall we? It can't all be bad. Here's some good stuff. Macro. Trade. Trump. I know when I say the T word, people get ticked off, but it's going to be okay. The EU Parliament has agreed to resume work on implementing the trade deal between the European Union and the United States. This is great news. This is great news. Then the markets can't get so freaked out, and we know what's going to happen. And looks like the EU is putting that olive branch forward, and maybe they can trade with this guy, and we can move forward for the economy. Also, as a reminder, GDP was up. This report came out about a week ago or so. So, people say, oh, the economy's awful. It's not that bad. And quite honestly, we actually had an increase from 3.8 to 4.4. So GDP growth for the economy is a positive sign. And then also, as another reminder, if you're into the business cycle stuff, I'm really not. But if you are, the ISM manufacturing came out. This was on Monday. We covered this on Monday. I just want to remind everybody that the forecast was 48.4, and we came out at 52.6. And as a reminder, anything above 50 is considered an expansion. Anything below that is a retraction. And the forecast was 48.4, and we actually crushed it at 52. So when we're talking about this ISM, like this was a big thing, and this was one of those branches or those tick marks that had to be ticked. So we could say, well, okay, now we're in this magnificent, nice upward trajectory because the Manufacturing Institute for Supply Management, or ISM, is in expansion mode. And we'll see if that happens in the next couple of months. But so far, we're still bleeding. And then also, as of today, Wednesday, February 4th, job numbers came out, or employment numbers came out. And previously it was 37,000. The expectation was 45,000 jobs filled, and we only got 22,000. So what is that? To break that down, here's the ADP Research. Think of this essentially for a survey. This is like one of the largest for payroll functioning services. And they just said, hey, like, how many people you got? How many people did you bring on? How many people did you fire? And it broke it down. And if you take a look over like time frame, do this, we're doing pretty good. I mean, in 2021, we had 119 million, 308,000 in the private sector. And today we got 132 million, 21,000. And look, we're going up. We're just not going up as fast as we want it to be. And to break this down so people understand, they asked the survey question is, okay, how big is your company and how many people do you got? And for all the different small companies, which I gotta tell you, that's probably a good place to go, 1 to 19 employees for all these different small companies, they have increased their numbers by 30,000. Unfortunately, the businesses that have 20 to 49 employees, they're down 30,000. That just cancels that out, so sorry. And then you got mid-size, they were like the big winners at 37 and 4, so you're looking at 41,000. The large one dropped 18,000, so you take it all together, you get 22,000. That is the net positive, and it's not enough because we were expecting more, so everybody's gonna harp on that. But I gotta tell you, not too bad. I'm not so worried about that. What I'm worried about is unemployment rates. As it has been going up. And we see here, unemployment rate since 2023 has been on a nice solid trajectory of going up. So I know people they'll blame the administration, whatever, but it's been going up for quite some time. And we were at 3.6%. Now we're at, everybody was celebrating when it went from 4.5 to 4.4. I'm like, is it really that big of a deal? Because it's still at 4.5. Just a year and a half ago, or 2 years ago, we're doing much better at 3.5%. And I think one of these reasons and why people aren't getting hired as much is there's an AI thing going on. And I got to tell you, I think it's going to eat the world. So this is a nice little thing as a reminder. When ChatGPT launched in 2023 and total job openings, the S&P 500 is in black. And that tended to go up. And it's actually much easier to do earnings when you start not hiring as many people. You don't have many job openings. You don't have as many mouths to feed, essentially. ChatGPT launched in end of 2022, and you can see just how things have gone. Now, if you go back, you can see that obviously in the Great Recession, we had a number of jobs drop off, and that was the Great Recession. And then, of course, in coronavirus, a number of jobs also dropped off. But you can see how there's a parallel, a dichotomy, a switch between the total job openings and the S&P 500 and how the jobs are just being lost. And then also, I just saw this today, Washington Post employees have been asked to stay home today and participate in a Zoom call at 8:30 a.m. You know what that means? They all got laid off. Well, 33%. Washington Post lays off a third of its staff. I wonder how much that was. 800, wow, 800 person newsroom. So more than about 300 people got laid off today. And if you think about it, as far as like the Washington Post and magazines and newspapers and reporters, like, do we need that many going out there, or can we just use AI to do those things? And I got to tell you, a lot of these jobs are going to get lost, and it scares the hell out of me. And that's why I think it's important that we all start to really think about owning as many assets as we possibly can, because as time goes on, there's only so many jobs out there for us. I don't know how well AI is going to take over or not. But if you have assets to kind of fall back on, not just cash, because the government's going to keep printing cash, and they're going to, unfortunately, debase the fiat system that we currently have. It's important that we get as many assets as we possibly can and try to pick the ones that are best for you. That could be Bitcoin, that could be Ethereum, that could be gold, silver, that could be property, that could be land, that could be whatever, equities. It's just important to make sure that we're focused on these things, because as time goes on, it's going to be kind of important we do these. So we have that. And then as a reminder, if you're in this realm, 401ks and stuff like that, don't forget, there's a great place. It's called iTRUST. It's what I use right now. And if you're looking to place for your Roth IRA, check. If you're looking to own gold and silver, check. And physical gold and silver now. Apparently you can get it physically delivered to you. And also they have custody services. The same one that we have for, actually it's the same one that MicroStrategy and BlackRock use, which is premium custody from, actually it's Coinbase Prime, but they use the same one. And I use the same one as well. So if you're looking for something like that, links in the description. Just a very easy way to do things. And then finally, before we get into the little Q&A, there's something up with Binance. And I'm going to say that what Kamikaze Kid says, it's that time of the bear market where Binance is insolvent, and then that news starts going around again. And he's right. This kind of stuff happens every time we have a drawdown, but this one's a little different. I know that's the wrong thing to say, but this is different. This is Lou's fur. He says, I got a cease and desist from Binance. So they want to expose everything I was told from CRYPTOVERSE Resources, but I can't risk a legal battle. Here's the thing with Lou. He's a liar because immediately Binance customer support put this in well, not immediately, a couple hours later, and said, hey, that's not from Binance. It's a forgery with a very active imagination. And I was like, well, first of all, I was like, is this really Binance customer support? Because it seems like a scam already, right? Follow the rules. When I click on this one, though, they got 216,000 followers, and a bunch of people that I follow them. So I'm like, all right, makes sense. I don't think it's a scam bot. But interesting enough that this Lou would just put this out as a lie. It's kind of strange. It's very strange. So I'm like, okay, I'm going to dismiss that one because I can't prove it. But then I get this one and says thousands of investors are posting screenshots on X showing they closed their Binance account. Binance reportedly halted withdrawals. Not a crypto bro, but this isn't exactly how the FTX collapse began. FTX collapse, insolvency. And I was reading this and I'm like, it's from an account called Silver Trade. Of course, he or she doesn't want us to do well. It's Silver Trade. So I'm going to dismiss that too. But then I got this from Jacob King. And this is even more strange. CZ Binance just unblocked me to DM me that he's sending me a cease and desist order because I made a post saying I think Binance is secretly insolvent. This is definitely something a totally solvent, safe, and secure exchange would do. Not suspicious at all. This could be photoshopped, but it is weird how everything's coming together. And this is what allegedly, don't sue me, this is what has been said. Hi, Jacob. Hope you're doing well. Just want to let you know that if you don't remove your X posts regarding the fake rumors of Binance insolvency, our lawyers will be reaching out with a cease and desist letter. Have a nice day. So either this is a very nicely coordinated joke by a bunch of people, such as Jacob King, Silver Trade probably hates us anyhow, and Louis Fur. So I'm like, maybe I could dismiss all of them. But then there's this guy named Hao. Apparently, I'm going to guess this is Mandarin or Cantonese. I can't read that. And he goes in a long rant about how he decided to close his Binance account. I've supported Binance for years, defend through every cycle, ignore the noise, but lately something feels off. Too many unexplained moves, too many coincidences, too many stories. This wasn't an easy call. I've watched Binance grow into a giant, trillions in volume, millions of users, an empire. But every empire reaches a moment where trust starts to crack. I've spoken to traders, funds, and old veterans who've been around since 2019. More and more of them are quietly stepping back, not making noise, just exiting. Maybe it's nothing, maybe it's a phase, but when the smartest people in the room start reducing exposure, I pay attention. This is my line, my decision, my risk. Everything has an end, even the biggest names like CZ Binance. Now again, I don't know how true this is because it's on X, and if it's on X, it's automatically kind of like, is that really real? But a lot of this is going on. And even Steve-O sent me tagged me in something and said, hey, here's a bunch of people who have closed their Binance account. Rob, be careful with this. You're always talking about your best. Binance, Ethereum, Solana, Tron. So we'll just have to see. I can tell you how to get around this really easily, though. It's super simple. There are these rules that are underneath me that I just love talking about every day. And the third rule is 0% on exchanges, which means don't leave anything on exchanges. You need to take all that stuff off pronto, ASAP, now. You can stop listening. I don't mind. Go to your Ledger or your Tangem or whatever hardware wallet you have and take it off of all the exchanges. I'm not talking about Binance. I'm talking about Coinbase, Binance, Kraken, OKX, MEXC, all that stuff. Get it off the exchanges. You don't know when they're going to go down. They don't owe you squat. And guess what? They're going to go down and they're going to hire some lawyers and you're going to get pennies in the dollars. What are you doing? So that's just it. I don't know what's going on with Binance, but I've been through this before. We've been through this before. Where there's smoke, there's fire. Could be a big nothing burger. Hell, I don't know. I just want you to be safe. And that's it for today. So look, if you like today's video, give it a thumbs up, consider subscribing. Everybody talk about it. It's relatively time sensitive, but that's it for this one. Now, let's get into the Q&A, and I'll answer all your questions to the best of my abilities. Time to Chin says, see you at 30K. That's okay. Crypto is done. It could be. On the first thumbs up. That's great. Binance big trouble now too. I don't know. I don't know. But I was like, I remember when Celsius went down. Alex Mashinsky was making the rounds and telling everybody flying through his teeth. And that happened. And then Voyager, we found out that they did a $630 million uncollateralized loan to 3AC or Three Arrows Capital. And that's when the rules got rolled out, as a matter of fact. And I said, hey, I don't know what's going on with them, but you got to take it off the exchange. 2 weeks later, they were insolvent. And then after that, then FTX came, and then everything went to hell. So, I mean, if it does, see, the thing about what was great about that time frame was that it was an error made by man, meaning the exchange screwed it up. They did uncollateralized loans. They tried to keep up with the Joneses. They were doing too much fractional reserve lending. And of course, they were just lying straight out of their teeth. There wasn't an issue with crypto or Bitcoin or digital assets themselves. It was a problem with the people that were running the exchanges. And because of that, you could say, well, the underlying product is still good. It's just these people screwed up, and I can get behind that. The problem now that I feel, or I see, and I think, is that you've got OG Bitcoin people selling $1 billion worth of their Bitcoin. And you've got people who are looking at Bitcoin going, is this really a good store of value? As much as it is, but I guess that'd be the same thing as before. I think it'd be the thing that I think about is, I wonder how many old Bitcoin enthusiasts are just like, this isn't what I signed up for. And they're just out. Maybe we have to go through that whole evolution, getting into the hands of the ETF holders and younger generation. I guess it'll be okay at some point. I will say though, and I was talking to the guys at iTRUST today, as a matter of fact, and one of them is a big precious metal guy. I can tell. And he said, hey, precious metals are great. Gold and silver is awesome. And he goes, I knew it was inevitable, it was going to happen. He said, but I will tell you that. You know what a pain in the A right now it is to find someone who will buy a bunch of your silver at market cost? He goes, there's nobody doing it. He goes, I go and get price quotes. He goes, and they're like marked up crazy. He goes, because nobody wants to get stuck holding the bag. He goes, and that's what happened with silver, dropped 30%. He goes, do you think anybody really wants to deal with that? No, they don't. So they're buying up silver at much less of a premium. And he said, but he goes, people are going to figure out Bitcoin just a better option, especially if you want to move value across the world in under 10 minutes for nothing. And I was like, well, yeah, exactly. So I still have faith. Let's see. How does Tom Lee get airtime every day? Because he's an icon, and he's got a great track record of making the worst price predictions of all time. Well, that's not true. I've made some pretty bad ones too. Meme's here. So late. We all knew this could happen, but does it matter? Bitcoin will just be cheaper. That doesn't mean it will stay cheap forever. Meme, you should have your own YouTube channel. It's a great response. Very nice. Let's see. Ben played chess today on his show, so we're in the bear. Yeah, probably so. We're in the bear market when Ben's channel moves over into the chessiverse or whatever. Chessiverse. Speaking of which, there he is. Hey, sorry, man. I mean, news is kind of boring. I get it. We can only talk about moving averages for so long. And I had to use your website again, so I'll pay you later. You wrong. Keep thinking. Let's see. This is the thing with with me and Ben. Ben has, what was it? There was something that, as far as like altcoins. Oh yeah. The only thing that is worse than an altcoin, apparently, from what Ben told us last week, was coffee, which is amazing to me. I don't know if you're coffee drinkers out there, but did you know that Ben, this guy right here, doesn't drink any coffee? I don't even know if he can call himself an American, for Pete's sakes. That is just blasphemy. Rob, did Bobby get liquidated? Maybe. We've had our discussions between my friend Bobby and me, and he's just not going to stop. That's the problem. Larry and Jaime won't, or is that Jamie? Larry and Jamie won't let their customers lose money on Bitcoin. Yeah, Larry Fink and Jamie Dimon. Jamie Dimon, perhaps? I don't know. I don't think. Trust me, I know what Ben, I know some of the things that Ben has invested into, and I'm pretty sure he's doing just fine. Ben has a crystal ball. He doesn't have a crystal ball. He's got a really good website. And speaking of which, you know, if you click that link, you get 10%. Don't go to Ben's YouTube channel and click on the link, because you don't get the 10% first month off. I've got a better link. This guy's talking about macro. What I want to know is why my alt is going to pump. There's only so much news and hopium that I can put in here, Ben. And it's at a premium. So what I'm going to do is next video, or tomorrow when we do the NFA Live, we'll just do 95% hopium, 5% negativity, which I will let Ben do all the negative talk. Listen, listen, man, it's not my fault that you went, you know, so big on Theta and Stewie. I mean, me and Guy told you, but you just won't listen. And leverage too. Bo-Dan is here. That is good. Brian's got a job. That's pretty good. I mean, these days, doing better than most people, I'll tell you that. That's not even a real metric. That's just made up. Bitcoin dominance. The tariff tantrums didn't help. Trump's got a short fuse. What can you do? How about Tau dominance? Learn to code. Ricky, I gotta tell you, one of the worst slogans of all time for getting people hired is learn to code. Although I did see an interview, it was Mark Andreessen, and he talked about how really good programmers get to be like 10x of a programmer by using AI. If you are something in social media and you start to use, and you're really good at it, and you use AI, you get like 5 to 10x better. So the people that are at the top will get exponentially better just by using AI. But if they have to know something about it, I got to tell you, what I've been trying to do with a couple of projects, you really got to know some things and you got to figure it out, because AI can only do so much. And it has these things called AI hallucinations. And that's a whole other video for something else. But yeah, learn to code a disaster. Although, like I said, we still need developers, just not as many. They don't want regulation, investigate reporters. Your tears will drip on ETH. There's enough tears to go around, I can tell you that. Got to go into $1. Oh, yeah. At first, I was like, Cardano seems kind of bearish. But then I'm like, hold on. Cardano's like 40 cents, so that's actually good. It's sad. Cardano. What could have been? Okay, what did I miss? Why does Ben have a thing against my alt? He's just a hater. That's all he is. Sweet. Buy the fear. Doja's going to surprise you all. I sure hope so. I still have a big fat bag of it. Bitcoin was cool. I got 30% to go. Sure. And yeah, your screen is reflecting the chat. Yeah, there's a new option here in StreamYard that I put up there. So now we can see the chat. So if anybody like deletes a chat, you can still see it in there, or deletes a comment. Although I have to tell you, I want to thank all the administrators because you guys are doing a bang up great job. Everything that I see, you guys, and I specifically said, don't ban anybody that has an opposing view. Ban all of the spammers. But if they're like, mean, or they say something like a little bit off color, or they just totally disagree with me, please leave them on. But the rest of the people, delete. Thanks, everybody. All right. Well, apparently, I got to go fix a gate at one of my properties, so I got to get out of here. So that's it for today. So everybody, if you like today's video, give it a thumbs up, consider subscribing. Tomorrow, my channel, 9 a.m. Eastern, we'll do NFA Live. Got some good questions. We're going to find out. We're going to find out what we can do better, essentially, for the next evolution. So tune in for that. I'll see you guys tomorrow. Thanks so much, everybody. See you.